Joblessness peaked at 10.8% in the month of December 1982, the greatest level since the Great Depression, before decreasing for the remainder of Reagan's presidency. 16 million new jobs were created, and inflation was decreased significantly. Another bipartisan effort promoted by Reagan, the Tax Reform Act of 1986, structured the tax code by reducing the number of tax brackets to 4 and removing different tax rewards. The leading rate was decreased to 28%, but capital gains taxes were increased from 20% to 28% for individuals with the greatest earnings. The development of the personal exemption, basic reduction, and earned salary tax credit more than balanced out the rise in the most affordable tax rate from 11% to 15%. Consequently, 6 million low-income Americans were removed from the salary tax rolls, and income tax burden was decreased at all income levels. When contrasted with Treasury Department earnings forecasts from the administration's preliminary post-enactment January budget plans, the net impact of all Reagan-era tax laws was a 1% loss in federal government earnings. Having said that, between 1980 and 1989, federal income tax invoices increased by 8.2% each year, from $308.7 billion to $549 billion, or a typical annual rate of 8.2%. 2.5% as a result of increasing Social Security invoices, while federal government investments increased by 7.1% a year. Reagan's policies presumed that financial development would happen when minimal tax rates were low enough to motivate financial investment, which would result in more jobs and greater pay. This has been called trickle-down economics by critics, who believe that tax policies that benefit the rich will drip down to the poor. Many poor and minority people perceived Reagan as unsympathetic to their challenges, and questions occurred concerning whether Reagan's policies favored the rich more than those living in poverty. The fact that Reagan's financial plan included freezing the base pay at $3.35 an hour, slashing federal help to city governments by 60%, cutting in half the spending plan for public real estate and Area 8 lease aids, and removing the Anti-Poverty Community Advancement Block Grant program intensified these emotions. Reagan dropped the optimal capital gains rate to 20% in the year 1981, together with a decrease in the greatest routine tax rate on unearned salary. Reagan later put capital gains tax rates at the exact same level as normal salary, like incomes, with both rates peaking at 28%. Regardless of raising taxes 11 times throughout his presidency in the name of monetary discipline, Reagan is seen as an anti-tax hero. In general, the 1982 tax rise reversed practically one-third of the 1981 decline. As a percentage of GDP, the boost was far higher than Mr. Clinton's 1993 tax boost, writes Paul Krugman. Reagan's tax rises during his presidency, according to historical analyst and domestic policy professional Bruce Bartlett, reversed half of the 1981 tax decline. Reagan was anti-government and reduced the spending plans of non-military programs like Medicaid, food stamps, federal education programs, and the EPA. He safeguarded privilege systems like Social Security and Medicare, but his administration attempted to get rid of many handicapped people off the Social Security impairment rolls. In 1987, he reappointed Paul Volcker as chairman of the Federal Reserve, and monetarist Alan Greenspan was called to follow him. Domestic oil price controls, which had added to the energy crisis of 1973 to 1974 and the summer season of 1979, were raised by Reagan. Following it, the cost of oil fell, and there were no more fuel scarcities like there were in the 1970s. Reagan also kept a guarantee he made throughout his 1980 campaign to get rid of the windfall profits taxing the year 1988, which had earlier increased the nation's dependence on foreign oil. Some economic experts, which includes Nobel laureates Milton Friedman and Robert Mundell, feel that Reagan's tax policies improved the economy and resulted in the 1990s boom. Others, and that includes Nobel laureate Robert Solow, contend that Reagan's deficits were a major reason his successor, George H.W. Bush, broke his campaign guarantee and raised taxes.